let's move on to the next one. Now again, I've got a bunch of videos saved. I've also got other videos saved in on a different browser because I have two browsers. I try and have like certain browsers for certain things and certain browsers for other things. Which is why, which one are we doing next? Let me try and find. There we go. There we go. There we go. There we go. Let's shift that over here. Okay, so next thing that we are gonna be doing is this right here. I know it's loading. It says, well, it says it's loading. So this one is original rap song AMV RS2 by Kadesh Flow, Room Service number 2. Now, I've watched one Kadesh Flow song in the past, I believe. Very much enjoyed it, and this one is an original rap song, so I kind of thought, oh, this would be quite interesting. This would be quite interesting to check out. I kind of want to see what it's about. He's got a trumpet in his hands. I'm already like, okay, like, okay, I'm here for it. I ain't gonna complain. I ain't gonna say anything. I'm here for it. So let's listen to this one. As always, though, please support the original artist. I'll have the link to it in the description down below, so you guys can watch the original video. With that said, let's get ready to rock and roll. Ready to rock and roll. We're gonna do that trumpet. Oh, this is a 16-bit song. Oh, this is a 16-bit song right from the get-go. Okay, okay. What is this remind you of? That sounds like Capcom. In the old, was it Capcom? I think it was Capcom. Like the old. I think it was that. From the Super Nintendo days. SNES.
I feel like I'm working all the time now.
Ooh, this one has a completely different style to everything that we've listened to so far. So far, everything that we've listened to was kind of like, felt sort of aggressive. This one just feels a lot more calm, a lot more relaxing, which is, I guess, the perfect thing to pick next. Kind of like hits you up, then we go back down, then we go up, then we go down. We're just constantly switching up videos, different styles and everything, and I quite like that. That we're switching it up. And it wasn't intentional. I just thought this would be a nice video to react to next. But I think it's perfect. I think it's perfect. We've got a lot more of a. It seems to me, I don't know, it might change obviously, but it seems like we've got a lot more of a chill vibe right now, which I think is nice.
I feel like I'm working all the time now. All I got is moves on the mind now. I am high key, working so much. I was scared I'd die alone, but I got blessed with a rider. She's a boss. I am zoned. I am grown. Rock for 50 and then play for like 1,000. Shout out Mega Ren, had to get my travel miles. And used to be harder for us to be here. Now it's wild, kid.
Yeah, this kind of hits. This kind of hits. Original rap song. This is like a motivational song, honestly. That's what it feels like.
Get my travel miles, and used to be harder for us to be here. Now it's wild, kid. We the ones they watching took that man all up like Miles did. Look, Morales, they've been said we had the talent.
We just did a Spider-Man rap recently as well.
Took that man all up like Miles did. Look, where Morales, they've been said we had the talent, but
Miles
we
Morales,
had to
of
fight
course.
climate ground till it's us holding the chalice. Got a long way to go. Didn't come here to be average. People try to slow me down, but I don't operate from malice.
Oh, I like that line. Oh, I like that line. Oh, I like that line. It's so good. I just say it. I just say it twice.
Listen, I've been in the studio with some people you would know. They be on the radio, on the screen when movie rolls. I don't kiss and tell. I'm just saying that I'm moving on. Thankful for the mentors kicking game. Look, they gonna pro. I'm working all the time.
It's paying off, dude.
Yeah.
That's the key thing. It's paying off.
Got his moves on the mind now. Yeah. All the time I'm working, yeah.
Grinding.
Best believe I'm certain that I'm gonna working all the time now. All I got is moves on the mind now. I am high key, working so much. I was scared I'd die alone, but I got blessed with a rider. She's a boss. I am zoned. I am prone to be watching great spreading grow waves. Feel like Brady throwing signals, watching blood so play. Everything has changed. Way more people know my name. I can finally pay my bills. I'm hustle in my play, but I am still afraid. Don't know how I'm getting paid. Half the time I start the day. Look at this mess I have made. Plus I stress my lady out.
Honestly, early Bleach, I'm just looking at this one. Early Bleach was wild. Early Bleach was wild. But Big Free for a reason, yo. Big Free for a reason. I was always the worst of the Big Free, but Big Free for a reason.
I'ma start the day. Look at this mess I have made. Plus I stress my lady out. Mood swinging like a pendulum. Insert rapist here. Y'all still out here defending them. I just had to say.
Oh. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Like a pendulum.
Insert rapist here. Y'all still out here
Defending them.
I just had to say as a
Calling out the community. Ooh. Last summer was wild with everyone being a predator in so many different communities, which is kind of crazy. Like, look, I don't really look up to people. I don't really look up to people. I always take inspiration from people, but I've got enough issues with myself. I've got enough to worry about myself, so I don't need to look up to other people, right? That's kind of the way I operate. It's kind of the way I look at things. I respect people. I see what they're doing good. I see what they're doing bad. But like, a lot of people in multiple communities are obviously role models. They're figures of that certain community. So a lot of people that are a lot more invested in multiple communities. And it wasn't just like one or two communities last summer. It was like it felt like almost every single community. And a lot of people that had these heroes were just let down. Like they were just like heartbroken and everything. And I felt sorry for them. And obviously the victims, of course. I felt sorry for the victims and the people that had all their role models crushed and whatnot. And them looking up to them had that destroyed. I like him calling that out. I don't know when this was made, but I still like him calling that out because, quite frankly, people will always defend their role models because they're like, oh, no. That only happened once, and there's circumstances X, Y, and Z. And of course, there are always circumstances, But you also have to look at the cold hard facts, and the cold hard facts sometimes are very, very crystal clear. Sometimes there is no elaboration needed because sometimes looking at something at its simplest is looking at it at its truest. Yeah.
I just had to say as a monster in the game on my demogorgon way, but you seen stranger things. Thought my ambition was cute till you see me eating rappers up. It's room service too. Slow it down, you probably had enough.
Okay. I was wondering about that title, but okay, makes sense.
Room service too. Slow it down, you
Probably had enough.
I'm working all the time now. Yeah.
I'm such a One Piece whore. I'm such a Big Free whore.
Working. Best believe I'm certain that I'm gonna serve ya. I feel like I'm working all the time now. Yeah. All I got is moves on the mind now. Yeah. All the time I'm working. Best believe I'm certain that I'm gonna serve ya. I feel
You have
working all the time now.
Now you feel like no. Kenpachi, bro. Nah, I was always a sucker for the badass characters.
I feel like I'm working all the time.
Look, alright, I know this has nothing to do with the song. It has something to do with the song because you can see him here, but Bleach had absolutely no characters that I liked. Bleach, it was a top 3, right? Ichigo was okay, but it had basically no characters that I liked except for Kenpachi. as a kid, I was a whore. I was a whore for all these like characters. Like, oh yeah, I'm such a badass. Nowadays, I'm like, man, you're such a badass. But what else have you got to your character? But as a kid, I was like, yeah, the badass characters are the best. Would you like Apache was such a fan favorite of mine.
I feel like I'm working all the time now. All I got is moves on the mind now. I am high key, working so much. I was scared I'd die alone.
I really like the song.
I got blessed with a rider. She's a boss. I am zoned.
Yeah, I really like this one. I must say, I very much like this one. This one was very chill, but it was very good. It was very, very chill, but it was very, very good in the sense that like it just felt like a mood. It just felt like a mood, right? And I can't really say too much because I feel like everyone. I'm gonna say something now that might be a little bit hypocritical considering what I said earlier, but I'm gonna say it regardless because I feel like it is true. Okay, so I feel like everyone in their own unique ways is always working and is always grinding. Now, people don't want to accept that because they sometimes look at themselves as lazy. I said the same thing about me, which is why I'm saying this is a little bit hypocritical. But at the end of the day, when I actually think about it, I'm actually not that lazy. I'm a procrastinator, yes, but I do a lot of other things that, like, even because we look at working as something that has to be beneficial. And that's the key part. Like, we think of working traditionally as something that has to be beneficial, whether that's financially or whether that's emotionally. Now, I would propose that working can be anything, even if it's something that is just stimulating the senses. That could be working because ultimately you are helping your mind relax. You're helping your mind ease the tension that it has, ease up. So I think like even something such as video games, that are not inherently classified as work and are more so, deemed to be, just something that stimulates and kind of like just lets you play and do whatever you want and just have fun. I consider it working as well because ultimately you're helping your brain. You might not be physically working out, you might not be financially improving yourself, but you are still helping yourself out. So I think almost every task that we do, regardless of how minor it is, and regardless of how major it is ultimately helping out in some way or another. So I feel like we're always working, we're always grinding in some way or another. Okay, with that said, typically when you think of working, you're obviously thinking of either improving on yourself, improving on your craft, improving on your finances. That's typically what you associate with working. And I feel like that can sometimes be a bit overwhelming, but ultimately I also think that if we take it into consideration, we are creatures of habits. Very much like humans are creatures of habits. Like, we like having a habit, we like doing something. Not many of us like doing spontaneous things because spontaneous things inherently have risk, and I feel like that's fine. And that's fine. Like, there's absolutely nothing wrong with working a lot, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with chilling out a lot. I'm kind of both. And again, I'm hypocritical considering what I said just a few minutes ago about that. I think we always are working on one thing or another, regardless of whether we want to accept that or not. But I'm very hypocritical because I grew up in a farm. I didn't grow up on a farm, but I kind of lived on a farm in a way. Area, how you doing? Yes, he lives. I am indeed alive. I hope you are fine. I hope you're good. I hope you're all well. But I can't, as I was saying, like, I didn't grow up on a farm, but my grandparents, they lived in the city, but they also owned a farm outside of the city. And ultimately what that meant was that, like, because they inherited the farm, and so basically they had to look after it, and they didn't want to sell it because they already owned like 3 other properties, and they were like, we're not going to sell it, we're going to keep it. It's a family heirloom, it's a family memento, we're not going to sell it, regardless of how much effort and how much work it takes. So every weekend, or every second weekend, we'd go there and just like, make firewood, so we can actually, heat the whole place up so it wouldn't fall apart. We would weed out all the grass, we'd do a lot. Like we'd cut all the grass. There was a forest attached to it as well, so we had to always grab all the apples. We had to make sure that the apple trees, that they weren't rotting. That the apple trees, if they were bad, because it was a massive forest, right? It was like I don't know how big it was, but it was. I would say probably like a square mile or maybe 2 square miles inside. Like it was massive, and we basically had to like go through the forest and go through the farm and maintain it all. And my grandparents, they were like 60, 70, and 80 years old ultimately, and they had to maintain it all. And obviously, very much part of that. Yeah, even as a 6-year-old, 5-year-old. So I kind of had that like hardworking attitude, because basically it was like, if you don't work, you don't eat. That was basically how it was seen. If you don't work, you don't eat. Because we had to get, as I said, we had to collect all the apples from the apple tree and then make an apple pie, so on and so forth. Or some sort of apple fruit or pear fruit or so on and so forth. But then we also had situations, I also had situations where I didn't have to do that. It wasn't my farm. I wasn't there every day. I was there every 2 weeks. So I kind of had this hard working mentality instilled in myself, but I also have this kind of like laid back attitude as well, where I'm like, I don't need to do any of that. I don't need to do any of that, which is why I'm a very, very weird person, where like one day I can be like the most hardworking person. I can like work myself to death, literally like wake up at 3 a.m. and work until 1 a.m. The next day, I'm just be A-okay and be absolutely fine with it. And then there are other times where I'm like, I'm not doing anything. I'm too lazy to go downstairs and make myself food, so I won't eat today and the next day and the day until I actually need to go downstairs for a different reason. Like I'm that kind of person that I'm super lazy, but I'm also super hardworking. It just depends on how I'm feeling right now, and I feel like I'm a little bit odd in that. I know it just has loosely to do with that song, but I very much enjoyed that song. I do need to say that as well right now. I know I said this earlier, but I did very well enjoy that song. It was very chill, and I felt like it kind of worked with what it was going for. It's kind of like this laid back, look how much I've done, now look where I am. I felt that was it worked very well with that chill flow. So with that said, I very much liked it. The discussion kind of went away from that, but oh well. It do be like that sometimes. With that said, go watch the original video, which I will have linked in the description down below after this video. After the stream, sorry, it will be in its own separate video. I will have a link in the description down below. Go support Kadesh Flow. And with that said, yeah. Yeah.